Good morning, class! How are you today? Before we begin, let us all stand for a short prayer. Let us bow down our head and put ourselves in the holy presence of God. Dear Lord, we offer this day all we do, think, and say. Give life to our mind to learn lessons of all kinds. Help us to be obedient, truthful, and loving to all. Amen. Happy Learning Day, Grade 8 English learners, and welcome to Rianne's TV. This is your teacher, Rianne Lopez, but you can call me Teacher Yan. Get ready as we learn the most essential competences in Grade 8 English right in front of your comfort of your home. Before we continue, let us sing first for our own energizer. Do you know the song It's a Small World After All? Very good! So we will change the lyrics for that. Instead of It's a Small World After All, we'll change the lyrics into Oh, it's English time after all. Do you get the students? Very good. Okay, let's start. It's a world of laughter, a world of tears, and a world of hopes, and a world of fears. There's so much that we share that is done right alone. Oh, it's English time after all. 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 There is just one word and one golden sun, and the smile means friendship to everyone. Though the mountains divide and the oceans are wide, it's an English time after all. Oh, it's English time after all. Oh, it's English time after all. Oh, it's English time after all. It's English time after all. One more time. Oh, it's English time after all. 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 Did you enjoy it, students? Very good. As we go through these discussions, let me discuss first our class reminders. Number 1. Prepare a pen and paper for note-taking before watching the video. Second, you may rewatch this video as needed in order to understand the lesson completely. Third, all lessons will have prerequisites. You are required to finish each step in order to proceed with the next lesson or activity. Last one, read, understand, and follow instructions carefully when answering quizzes, activities, reflection, etc. Did you understand our class reminders? Great job! And now, before we proceed, let us check your attendance first. Very good! Since nobody is absent today, let us give ourselves a 5 claps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, get ready as we learn the most essential competences in Grade 8 English right in the comfort of your home. So come on, and let's start to learn and love English. Reading gives us an opportunity to learn a vast amount of knowledge, and at the same time helps us in tapping our imagination. It also serves as a vehicle to travel to the different parts of the world. It is through reading that a writer may be able to communicate his thoughts, some facts, information, ideas, etc. Thus, the writers have the different ways in presenting their ideas for the readers to have a full grasp of what he wants to explain. In this episode, we will first review the lesson discussed in the previous episode. Second, broaden your vocabulary. Third, define what is visual-verbal relationship. Fourth, identify the different types of visual-verbal relationship illustrations used in an expository text. In our previous episode, we discussed all about expository text, its definition, features, purpose, and its type. Now, to check your understanding of that lesson, let us have a quick review. Put your thinking caps on and get ready to answer the following items. Read and answer the following questions carefully. Write the letter of your correct answer on your answer sheet. Number 1. It is a type of text which is entirely fact-based. Is it A. Narrative, B. Persuasive, C. Descriptive, or D. Expository? The correct answer is expository. Number 2. It is one of the text structures of the expository text. Is it A. Narration, B. Comparison and contrast, C. Persuasion, or D. Argumentation? Letter B. Comparison and contrast. Number 3. Which is not an example of expository text? Letter A. Reports, B. Interviews, C. Textbooks, or D. Novels? The correct answer is D. Novels. Number 4. Which is not a feature of an expository text? Is it A. Persuasive, B. Fact-based, C. Informative, or D. Objective? The correct answer is A. Persuasive. Number 5. The main purpose of the expository text is to block A. Inform, B. To narrate, C. Persuade, or D. Entertain? you are more than ready for new learning. This time, you will get to know new words that will expand your vocabulary. As we come across texts that we read, we use the help of a dictionary or a Google. We will broaden your vocabulary to help us better understand today's lesson through our word bank activity. Okay, let's get started. Identify the closest meaning of the underlined word by choosing the letter of the answer. Number 1. My teacher asked my classmate to cite some examples of models. The underlined word here is cite. Is it A, mention, B, locate, or C, create? The correct answer is letter A, mention, which means a reference to someone or something. Number 2. People can do some things that a machine cannot do and vice versa. The underlined word here is vice versa. Is it A, directly, B, inversely, or C, continuously? The correct answer is letter B, inversely, which means in the opposite manner, position, or order. As a leader, you must have the ability to persuade others to follow. The underlined word here is persuade. Is it A, dissuade, B, discourage, or C, convince? The correct answer is letter C, convince, which means to cause someone to agree with a belief or course of action by using arguments or urges, requests. Number 4. Being hospitable is one known Filipino value that is deeply rooted in our culture. The underlined word here is rooted. Is it A, embedded, B, attached, or C, involved? The correct answer is embedded, which means established deeply and firmly. Last, the online class platform is the new trend in education. The underlined word here is trend. Is it A, mode, B, custom, or C, tradition? The correct answer is A, mode, which means a practice or interest that is very popular for a short time. You did great, learners! Remember that your openness to learning a remarkable new world is a surefire way to continually improve your communication skills. Now, you're more than ready for our next lesson because we live in a fast-paced world where the advancement of technology happens constantly and rapidly. we are exposed to a variety of information, and the most common are the texts that we read. The challenge for us this time is how to interpret this and simplify this information. As a learner, part of your task is also to present your ideas. What do you usually do in presenting your ideas? Have you experienced having difficulty in presenting your ideas? If so, how did you overcome it? What did you do? Let us take a look at these illustrations. What ideas are presented in the two illustrations? Alright, the ideas presented in both illustrations are about global poverty. Are they the same? Indeed, the ideas presented are the same. However, it is presented in two different ways. To present information in a more attractive and understandable way, we have the option of using more than just plain text to present our ideas. The illustrations are examples of visual-verbal relationships or illustrations. So what are visual-verbal illustrations? Visual-verbal illustrations are ways of presenting information in a simple and attractive manner to catch the reader's interest. These illustrations help explain concepts easily using graphs, maps, tables, infographics, charts, and the like. A graph is a diagram that shows the relationship of information presented. There are different kinds of graphs. First, we have what we call a line graph. It is a kind of graph that presents information trends using data dots connected by straight line segments. Let's take a look at our example. The line shows the increase of the number of COVID-19 cases. Next, we have a bar graph. It is a kind of graph that characterizes categorical data with rectangular bars of equal weight. The bar graph shows the increase of the number of COVID-19 cases. Table. A table is an illustration that shows the organized arrangement of data, usually in rows and columns. In our example, the table shows the enrollment data of the 3 grade 8 sections, which shows the section Hemingway has the highest number of students, followed by the section Aristo and lastly section Bentham. Now, we have the map. A map is a diagram or visual representation that shows the relative position of the parts of something. It could be a drawing or a photograph. In the example, the illustration shows the Philippine map. Now, we have the concept map. A concept map displays the organization and relationship of concepts and ideas in visual form. In our example, the concept map shows the 8 planets in our solar system. Next, we have a chart. A chart is an illustration that represents information in a tabular or circular form. And as we know, there are different kinds of charts. The first one is pie chart. It is a circular in form and it represents how the whole is sliced into parts. In our example, the pie chart shows about budgeting. Now, we have a flow chart. A flow chart is an illustration that shows step-by-step process. In our row chart, you can see the flow of our digestive system. Lastly, we have an infographic. An infographic is a combination of visual images and text presentations of specific informations. In our example, the infographic material contains the rainfall advisory for a particular area, which will allow people to prepare and respond appropriately to its responsible effects. It's now time to check your understanding of the lesson that we have discussed. So put your thinking caps on and let's get started. Write true if it is correct and write false if it is not. Okay, write your answers in the sheet of paper. Number 1. A bar graph is a kind of graph that characterizes categorical data with rectangular bars of equal width. The correct answer is true. Number 2. A table is an illustration that shows the circular arrangement of data, usually in rows and columns. The correct answer is false. Number 3. A pie chart is an illustration that is circular form that represents how the whole is sliced into parts. The correct answer is true. Number 4. A map is an illustration that is tabular in form that shows the relative position of parts of something. The correct answer is false. Correct. Number 5. A concept map displays the organization and relationship of concepts and ideas in visual form. The correct answer is very good, true. Number 6. A flow chart is an illustration that shows a step-by-step process. The correct answer is true. Very good. Number 7. A line graph is a kind of graph that represents information trends using data dots connected by straight line segments. The correct answer is true. Number 8. A chart is an illustration that represents information in a tabular or circular form. The correct answer is true. Number 9. An infographic is a combination of visual images and text representation of specific information. The correct answer is true. Last number. A graph is a diagram that shows a relationship of information represented. The correct answer is true. This time, let us determine the importance of visual-verbal relationship. By now, I'm pretty sure that you already know how powerful visual and verbal materials are when they are put together. In most cases, these two work hand in hand to convey and deliver strong, grand messages than when each one used alone. So, what do we need to know about visual-verbal relationship that will help us fully understand why they are so effective in presentation of one's ideas? Number 1. Its main purpose is to improve comprehension of a reading material. Number 2. The graphic elements as visual elements are significant aspects in communicating and emphasizing certain ideas. Number 3. The concept of visual-verbal symbiosis is rooted in the idea that visuals support verbals and vice versa. Number 4. We try to determine the visual-verbal relationship in tables, charts, graphs, and the like to know the similarities between the figures and ideas that are presented in the text. Number 5. Ideas can be delivered with greater impact when visual and virtual components are mutually supportive. Now, let us check how the different visual-verbal relationships that will be shown will help you ignore out the answer for each of them. Job well done, learners! Now, let's have a recap of what transpired in our lesson for today's episode. Let us keep in mind that visuals are considered as text, illustrations, and other forms that can be seen that are used in communication process, whereas the verbal approach applies to written or spoken words. Visual and verbal components have the likelihood to be mutually associated. Thus, it is identified as a visual-verbal relationship of the many combinations that bring the visual and verbal together. The most common are printed page and the video screen. So that concludes our lesson for today. Make sure to always stay tuned to Rianne's TV and journey with us in the world of English 8, where you will have fun and interesting learning experience that will not just feed your mind but will also nurture your love for English. Again, this is Teacher Rianne saying, never stop